Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. My name's Trevor Lane. He's Keith Smith. We've got a lot of stuff to get into today. We've got some injury stuff, but some actual positive injury stuff as guys are recovering, which I will say, Keith, I am still trying to recover from Daredevil episode 3. I don't want to give anything away because it just dropped. But I am not. It's way too soon, and I am not over it. I'm not over it.
I'm with you. Yeah, the ending was interesting. So that's all we'll say.
Yes.
For now, no spoilers in the comments. We'll talk more about it maybe on Friday show. But I'm enjoying Daredevil. I'm enjoying the run so far. It's been kind of fun, and we've only seen him be. This is little spoilery, but we've only seen him be Daredevil for like 5 minutes in the opening episode. So
that's the one thing that I'm missing a little bit. Like so I am not in general. I'm not a fan of legal dramas. It's not. Okay. It's not my forte. It's not my acquired taste or whatever you want to call it. Right. So I was watching the last episode and it's going and it's going and it's going and I'm like, I kind of want to see some daredeviling. Like let's get. And I know it's coming. But I'm ready for it. It's building to it. I guess that's definitely where we're at right now.
What's your show that you just throw on? You've seen a million times through, and you'll just throw it on.
Oh, The Office. Yeah. The Office. I'll throw on at any time. Parks and Rec is up there. If it's just me and not me and my wife, I'll still throw on an old episode of Entourage or something like that, just for fun, just in the background. But The Office, it tends to be my go-to. I'm trying to work on something. I just don't want dead silence. I'll throw The Office on. And, I've seen every episode hundreds of times at this point. So,
yeah, The Office is way up there for me. Big Bang Theory, very high on that list as well. So, it used to be Law and Order.
Oh,
for a long time. But then I would get too sucked into the episodes and I couldn't watch. And I'd be like, I'm going to go to law school now. Because you can watch 8 episodes in a row. And the next thing you know, an entire weekend day would be gone. So.
That's how they get you hooked. It's like those damn House Hunters on HGTV and stuff. You throw it on, the next thing you know, you're through 50 of them.
Here's my problem with House Hunters, though. I don't think we've ever talked about this.
Oh, okay.
House Hunters is they're a couple in New York City. He's a bird watcher.
Oh, yeah.
He's a part-time dog walker.
Their budget is $2.5 million.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what? How? What is happening here? So,
I come up with backstories. Either they have some, and by the way, we will actually talk basketball in just a moment, everybody. I promise. I always come up with backstories. I'm like, okay, he's secretly a drug runner or something like that, or whatever. Or they're actually wealthy. They received a wealthy inheritance or something. Something like that actually explains what's actually going on here. That his bird watching business is a front for some type of other activities.
That's how they cover.
Yep.
Could
exactly.
Be. I don't know. I need more of those House Hunter people money. That's all I know.
That's right. We were watching for a long time those Island Hunter ones where you're watching where people are buying places on islands and stuff until we ran out of them. We went through all of them because they haven't made the show in a few years. Went through all of them, and there's so many times where I'm like, could we really do that? Just go live on a tropic. Just say screw it. I'm gonna go live on an island somewhere.
Get enough internet, and you're good to go.
There you go. All right. Well, I'll have the waves as a background noise for the show. Welcome to our basketball show. Now that we're 4 minutes in, Josh Giddey up. He's been playing pretty good basketball. In fact, if you take a look at the month of March, obviously only 4 games, but he's averaging 23 points, 8 assists, 10.5 rebounds, shooting 50% from the field. And over the month of February, longer sample size, 20 points per game, 6.4 assists and 8 rebounds. So not like he's just doing it over this 4-game sample size. Also shot 54% from 3 in the month of February. Now, he did pick up an injury, but this has already got people talking about what Josh Giddey's next contract is going to look like. So what do you think fair value is going to be for him?
Yeah, so you start looking around, right? And they're talking about him getting paid, basically top half starter money. It sounds like where we're headed with this. So that's in the range of $30 million a year. Remember, everybody kind of went a little crazy about Emmanuel Quickley last season when he re-signed, and Emmanuel Quickley's contract slotted in him in, I think, at 15th among NBA point guards. So if that's probably going to be the range-ish for Josh Giddey, probably a little bit below that. I think unless you really buy into the shooting. But if you're the Bulls, Modest Buzelis looks like a nice player. I'm very excited about what he's done.
Yeah.
Kobe White's been pretty good for them. Kobe White's going to be tough, though, because that's one of those ones where that's the downside, too. I'm glad you have it up there. The really nice value contract then becomes very quickly the not extendable contract because Kobe White at $12.8 million to extend off that's not going to be enough money. So I think Josh Giddey gets probably paid nicely because he's really kind of what the Bulls have to lock in to build around going forward. And that, as long as you don't get really silly with this, you're probably okay. As long as it's not a max, you come in below the max, 25, maybe even up to 30 million, you're probably all right.
So just to hit you with some stats here, Josh Giddey in November shot 29% from three. In December, shot 23% from three. Since we turned to 2025, his lowest three-point percentage for a month was January, in which he shot 36.7. He is now averaging for the season 38% from three. Do you buy the shoot? Because I feel like so much of his value, we know he can handle the ball, we know he can pass, we know what he can do with the ball in his hands as a guy with some size and the ability there. But so much of his upside is going to come down to whether or not that shooting is real. So do you buy what we've seen since the calendar flipped to 2025?
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? It's getting to be a big enough sample size that maybe. What's been interesting is we're seeing him. He's making these shots now, not just spot ups. He's making a handful off the dribble. They're mostly catch and shoot spot up threes from him. But that's huge because remember, with the Thunder, teams just stopped guarding him. And that's a big part of why they traded him. That's a big part of why they were like, we know in the playoffs this is not going to work. So I guess I buy it-ish. What's nice is look at the progression year over year.
Yep.
It's gone up each year, taking a couple more, now. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess is the best way to put it.
I think where I land with him is I don't think he's going to be a good 3-point shooter, but if he can be I don't buy the 50% stuff. That's not sustainable, that's not going to happen. But could he settle in 35, 36% league average from three? That at least makes you have to guard him. And that I think changes quite a bit for him in terms of his long-term future.
Without a doubt, because we know what he can do with the ball in his hands.
Yes.
Really good playmaker. He's pretty good drive and score guy. Pretty good rebounder for, his positions that he plays. I think his defense has been a little knocked on this year. I don't think he's by any means like a all defense level guy, but I think he's certainly a passable defender. So I don't really have a huge issue with that. And you're absolutely right. If he can just become a league average shooter, then you can have him out on the floor in a lot of different lineup constructions.
Absolutely. Studio Stu checking in here to give his opinion on the situation. Let's jump over here. So Jalen Williams now out for the Thunder, dealing with a hip injury. I mean, Keith, this is the benefit of running away with your conference. Is hey, you're 99%. Continue to sit out until you're actually 100%. They don't have to rush him back at all with this hip, as long as they've got him healthy. Usually you'd want to be back by, I don't know how long exactly he'll be out, but if you have him back by the month of April, so you can get back into a rhythm and all that kind of stuff, you'll be just fine. But this is the nice thing. Jalen Williams out for the Thunder, and they don't have to worry one bit about their seeding. They're going nowhere. They will finish the number 1 seed in the Western Conference easily. And so they can really take their time and make sure he gets back to 100%.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's the benefit, like you said, of that 11-game lead in the conference. Takes a lot of luster off tonight's matchup against Boston.
Sure.
That part's a little bit of a bummer. We're not going to get them at full health. We'll see with the Celtics. We're going to talk about Kristaps Porzingis in a minute. We don't know if he'll play or not. Jason Tatum's also questionable on the injury report. I think that's more of a let's set it up for when we have a back-to-back at the end of the week that he's only going to play one of the two. Because I think the Celtics know we're kind of locked into the 2 seed now in the East. Let's not push guys overly hard. So I think you'll see, most of Boston's regular guys, but no, Jalen Williams does make it tough on the Thunder, but no reason to push him. You're not. What are you trying to chase here? You're chasing the Cavs for the overall 1 seed. You kind of more, that's kind of a thing, but not really, because you just kind of worry about that when you get there.
Right. Exactly. And I do think, actually, even if this is not like a hip injury or whatever, oh my God, I stubbed my toe. Okay, well, let's not show the Celtics what we're like, as close as we are to the playoffs. Let's not show them all of our cards right now. Now, of course, teams are going to film study each other and all that, but there's also a difference when you're actually out on the floor and they're running their real stuff. You do get that familiarity. So maybe part of that could be strategic. I'm not saying he's not actually injured, but there is a strategic benefit to not playing all your guys in this matchup as well, just given your situation in the standings.
Yeah, I think it's more of, he's got something going on and we don't need you to play. So sit out and rest.
You mentioned Kristaps Porzingis. It's getting like, I hope he's back tonight, but this is got a viral illness, I believe it was. And he's been out a while now with this illness. Has there been any update on like what is going on here?
Only from him. He tweeted, so before the Laker game last weekend, he said, I'm going to be back for the Lakers. Like, basically, like, you don't miss Celtics Lakers. Right. And then he was not back. Went on to miss the next game against the Jazz on Monday. And then he tweeted during that Jazz game, I think just a lot of people are like, what is happening? He actually tweeted, I've been out with a undetermined viral illness that we're having trouble figuring out exactly what it is. That's why I've been out. And that's, why I haven't been able to play. So now we have seen him. He's been around the team. He actually has gone through pregame warmups a couple times. My guess is what's happening is he gets out there, he goes through warmups, and then whatever it is that's going on is kicking back up, and he's not feeling good enough to actually then go on to play. So, definitely worrisome, right? You never just any kind of unknown illness always makes you a little bit nervous, but he, sounds like he's working his way back. It might just be going to get his wind up, get his conditioning back, but this is not an injury for Kristaps Porzingis. That's the good news. But get him over that, because if Celtics want to go where they hope to go, which is back to the finals and win another title, they need him.
Yeah, and so this is the kind of thing too where I wonder if it's just from being sick, just he's probably a little bit weak, and you get and you're feeling okay to feel, how it is when you're sick, like suddenly one day you're feeling better, right? I know you're actually sick right now. You feel a little better and you go, oh cool, I'm good to go, and you push down on the gas pedal a little bit. Obviously for Kristaps Porzingis that's a little bit different than most of us in our day-to-day lives, but next thing you know, you run to the grocery store and you're like, oh my God, that kicked my butt. Kristaps Porzingis, it might be, hey, I did a little warm-up, I thought I was good, but now I'm not actually back yet. So hopefully it's just something like that. And hopefully this isn't something that is going to linger, whatever this viral illness that he's dealing with right now is.
Yeah, completely agree. A couple other just quick notes, since we're kind of talking Celtics and Thunder, both can clinch playoff spots tonight. Boston needs a win, and I think an Atlanta loss to clinch a playoff spot. The Thunder need to I think they get in if just Minnesota loses. I think then they're in. And then you can see it on the bottom of the screen if you're watching along on YouTube. The Utah Jazz with the little E, first team that was eliminated from playoff contention just the other day. Pelicans are like right on the verge of getting bounced out as well, as we head down to it. Where at that time of year, teams are getting down to somewhere in the range of 16 to 20 games left. We're going to start seeing more teams getting bounced out and eliminated.
And I'm sure the Jazz were not sad about that. They knew what was coming. They probably popped some champagne in the Jazz front. Well, okay, maybe not in Utah. Maybe. They didn't pop some champagne, but they probably celebrated a little bit. Hey, we locked in. We're not going to be in the mix here. Let's continue stacking losses, and let's start counting those ping pong balls here and hope that we can capture the flag.
Yeah, absolutely. They well executed. Tank. I will say, I'm seeing a lot of noise from Jazz fans on Twitter. We're like, all right, we get it, but no, we're not doing another year of this. That's with AJ DeBonsa, who's the prospective number 1 pick in the country, playing right there in their own backyard at Hurricane Prep in Utah. And then he's also going to BYU. And they're like, no, we need to get back. I think that's like the Jazz, very much like the Spurs, were one of those teams where you just wrote them in every year into the playoffs because they never really had a long down period. And this has been a pretty down period. So I think Jazz fans are starting to get a little tired of the rebuilding and tanking and sitting guys out and all that stuff. So we'll kind of see where this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand it. It's, look, when you're in the thick of it, thinking we're going to do another season of this, it's tough. Yep. It is absolutely tough. Yep. All right, let's go here. Matisse Thybulle making his season debut. Yeah. Keith, this is like the longest sprained ankle injury that I think we've ever seen. Like, this is crazy what's gone on with him. But at least he's finally making his debut for the season. I think now that the Blazers have lost 4 in a row, their season is officially done. There was some talk. They were playing fairly well. We're like, well, maybe they could get into the mix there with Dallas. Doesn't look like that's going to happen now. But still benefit to getting Thybulle back on the floor, getting back into a rhythm so that he's not out for the entire season, and then he can hit the offseason and his workout regimen for the offseason, at least with some on-court time during this year to build off of.
And very important for Portland. Use these last, what do they got, 16 games left, it looks like. Mm-hmm. Use those he probably won't play all 16, but if he gets in 10 of them, use those 10 games to show teams, hey, he's healthy. He's ready to go because presumably he'll be in trade talks this summer, I would assume. Him and just about every veteran on the Blazers roster as they're kind of continuing to retool. But, interesting season for Portland with the way they've kind of gotten a little bit better here, improved quite a bit. He does have the player option.
He's picking that up.
He's picking it up. Yeah. When you missed almost an entire year, you're going to pick that up. So, that's, but $11.5 million, that's a nice piece of tradable salary. You put that with a couple others if they want to get aggressive going after guys this summer that, will put you in a pretty decent spot.
And teams are always looking for wings, and given how he performs on the defensive side of the floor, I wouldn't be surprised, especially given that it's a low-risk investment here on an expiring $11.5 million contract. I think he'll have some, not like crazy value or anything like that, but some teams would be interested in taking a flyer on Matisse Thybulle. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he defends enough, and since he's been in Portland, he actually shot it fairly well.
He does.
So if you could kind of convince yourself, all right, 3-and-D guy for $11.5 million, why not? Like, take a look at that next year, and if not, then he's off the books the year after, and it didn't really probably cost you all much to get him, and you just kind of move on.
Exactly. Okay, let's go here. Jonathan Kuminga making his return to the Golden State Warriors. That's going to be a welcome addition. Now, the Warriors have been playing some pretty good basketball, obviously, since the acquisition of Jimmy Butler. But now they get Jonathan Kuminga back as well. They were pretty determined to not move on from Jonathan Kuminga at the trade deadline. Obviously, we know the situation with his contract, where he's going to be a restricted free agent, will be interesting. One of the bigger, I think, subplots of the summer will be what happens with Jonathan Kuminga. What does his next deal look like? But the Warriors getting healthier, they'll get Jonathan Kuminga back in action. And we'll see. They seem primed to make a real playoff push right now, when for a little while there, they were kind of dead in the water at the bottom of the West, or the bottom of the playoff grouping in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and what they've been kind of missing, they've gotten really good minutes from Guy Santos and Moses Moody, who's been starting, but they need like one more wing and one more kind of big wing there who can give them something. And I think that's what they're going to get with Kuminga. I think that'll be huge for them. They don't need to push him to play a ton of minutes right away because they've really stabilized with Jimmy Butler in the fold, and just a little bit more lineup versatility for Steve Kerr. Put out there one more guy if Butler needs a game or two down the stretch to sit. You can feel good about playing Kuminga more minutes. So I think the Warriors are going to be in pretty good shape. They're playing pretty good basketball. It's going to be tough. I was looking at some stuff over the last couple of days. Minnesota has one of the easiest closing schedules in the entire league.
Yes, they do.
So the Warriors are going to have to work to hold them off for that top 6 spot. So, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think, I think the Warriors are in really good shape, with the way they've kind of weathered the storm and then rebounded to come back like huge. Yeah, there it is. Warriors right in the middle of the pack, Minnesota all the way down near the bottom.
Easiest schedule of any Western Conference team remaining.
Yeah. And if you look at it, it's like, all right, a couple against Denver. But I mean, look at all those games against terrible teams.
2 against Utah, 2 against the Pels, 2 against the Nets, 1 against the 76ers, 1 against the Magic, and 1 against the Suns. How crazy is it now that the Magic and the Suns have flipped to being easy games?
Yeah. I never would have projected that, but
right.
Really Philly even, right?
Philly, well, yeah, Philly, but at least Philly has been so injury related, that, I mean, I don't know, the Orlando Magic have been very injured this season too. It's mostly the Suns that I'm taking a shot at here, who have not been all that injured and yet still suck.
Yeah, they've been really bad. So it's I mean, and then like as you look at it, this is maybe a little bit of hope there for Dallas fans. Right, like schedules. I know you're incredibly banged up, but I don't even know where Mavs fans are at now. I've seen some of them.
What do you want to do?
We don't even want to get in to the like they're. I think they're resigned. Like we're probably getting in to the play-in tournament, but get bounced. This is our last chance at getting a decent draft pick because they owe picks out in the future. So we'll see where that goes. But
I mean, I know the map. They're 3-7 in their last 10, and you would say, man, they're sitting ducks. I mean, the Suns should just lap them, should run past them. Oh no, wait, the Suns are 4-6 in their last 10, and they have been playing good basketball. So I don't know, like, do the Mavs just kind of coast across the finish line and make it just because the Suns can't figure things out? Maybe I think that it's possible for the Suns to make a run here and maybe chase down the Mavs, just because I don't think the Mavs are going to win a lot with everybody out the way they've got them, and maybe they don't even bring back Anthony Davis and Derek Lively and everything. Maybe they don't bring guys back, but Phoenix actually has to win some games in order for that to happen, and I just don't know if they're going to win enough, even if the Mavs kind of stay still.
I think we're going to see Dallas get in as the 10 seed, and then I think they're going to bow out pretty quickly. Because they're going to be down so many guys, and
they'll drop the first playing game.
And then we go, and that's probably not the end of the world, because I don't want this version of the Mavericks to sneak into the playoffs, because that's just you're basically saying, here's a bye, Oklahoma City, like just they'll roll right through them with very little. They're not that. I mean, at least if it's the Wolves, the Clippers, the Kings, the Warriors, like they'll at least push the Thunder to have to work in the first round. If Dallas snuck in, they're not doing that. So fall into the lottery, get a draft pick that's semi-decent, because you're going to need that to backfill. They're pretty expensive, assuming they re-sign Kyrie. And remember, you're re-signing Kyrie, and then that immediately becomes like a hole in your roster because he's not going to be there. So they're going to have to figure that out as well.
Yeah. A lot of decisions to be made for Dallas this summer. All right. Well, Keith, I know you're not feeling good, so we'll keep this episode shorter and we'll get you some rest. But appreciate everybody for joining us. Please make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.